We are here to Fuel Rockets News. This is a Rockets Fuel podcast presented by the Believe Network. And of course, I am your co-host, Lachard Binkley. You can always find me on Twitter at Binkley Hoops and my written work over at SB Nation or Dream Shake. And of course, before we get too far into this big win by the Rockets, I want to give my co-host a chance to introduce himself.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Vator. You can find me on X app, formerly known as Twitter, and you can find me at Instagram at Vader Sports for your Rockets-related news and highlights, and also like some Houston Texans stuff.
And Vader, we are coming right after the game tonight. It is pretty late, but we definitely want to talk about this game as the Rockets come away with a 118-109 victory over the Phoenix Suns. They've now played Phoenix 3 times in the last week and a half, and we can kind of tell from how chippy this game was. Really going back to the last game when Cam Whitmore and Devin Booker got into it. It continued into this game. It was a really chippy physical game, but the Rockets were able to come out on top. They were able to hold them off at the end with games where they usually lose, especially on the road. They had lost 9 straight games, so they actually snapped their 9-game losing streak on the road and also snapped the Phoenix Suns' home winning streak. So it was a big win, one of the biggest wins of the season for the Rockets. And, of course, it was led by Jalen Green, who had one of his best games of the season, not just offensively, but he was doing all the little things as well, scoring 34 points. He had 9 rebounds. He had 4 assists. He was playing actually really, he was really into it on the defensive end, something you usually don't see from Jalen Green. And he was kind of just doing a lot of the small things that we don't see a lot of times on the court from Jalen Green. But, of course, also had good games from alperensengun. Dylan Brooks finally showed up in the second half. He didn't have a point in the first half, but he made a couple of big shots. But Fred VanVleet had another solid game where he seemed to kind of calm the Rockets down, kept things under control when the Phoenix Suns were trying to make those runs. He was able to hit multiple shots from the outside. And he also threw an alley-oop to Jalen Green. So that's definitely something you don't see every game from Fred VanVleet. So definitely it's a really good all-around win for the Rockets on the defensive end, something we hadn't been seeing a lot lately, something they were doing at the beginning of the year. This is the type of game the Rockets were winning the first couple months of the season when they were playing really tough defense, when they were really getting into guys, and that's what they did tonight. So, Vader, what did you see from the Rockets tonight? Of course, we're going to talk about Jalen Green a little bit more, just specifically Jalen Green before we wrap up the show. But what did you see overall from the Rockets tonight?
Okay, well, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Rockets had a good game tonight because Fred VanVleet played well. You know what I mean? Like, I think Ime Udoka gives him so much responsibility within the offense, to get guys set up, get guys involved. His 2-man game with Alperen Sengun, and the fact that we got a good Fred VanVleet game, I don't think it was a coincidence that they were in this game for basically the duration of the game. And then they started off so hot in that first quarter. Everybody was knocking down threes. I was like, is this gonna be able to translate over into the second half? Because the shooting was so hot, it wasn't sustainable. Phoenix did make a run, but the Rockets, they fought back, man, and that's kind of what you want to see. Alperen Sengun had his normal game. I think you can almost pencil him in for 20 and 9. I think he had 20 points and 10 rebounds tonight or whatever it was, but you can kind of pencil him in for that now. I want him to get back to where he was dominating, but I know defenses are collapsing on him now. They're playing him way differently than they were earlier in the season, and it's kind of up to the coaches and him to kind of figure that out. And but he had a good game. I think his shooting kind of tailed off at the end. I don't know. I noticed that he's doing that little one-legged shot again, which he kind of went away from for a little while, and I think it was effective for him. I want him to just get more efficient at hitting that, because it almost seemed like it was automatic earlier in the season, and now it's kind of hit or miss. He shot a pull-up today, which I don't recollect him ever
that's the first of his career
pull up, and it kind of he shot an air ball. But I wouldn't mind him adding that to his repertoire. You know what I mean? Because I think that's a shot he can get off. And then obviously, like you said, Dylan Brooks was Dylan Brooks. It was we had the highs and lows, good Dylan, bad Dylan. And then obviously, Jabari Smith Jr. He had a okay game. I think he missed a lot of wide open shots. Like I think I mentioned the last time we did a pod that I want him to to the point where like if he's wide open, I want to feel like that's going in. I want to be surprised when he misses, especially on corner threes. And he did get some big shots in the fourth quarter, but like he did also miss a few. He missed 2 free throws that we needed. And speaking of that lob that Fred VanVleet threw to Jalen Green, he also missed him on that lob, and Jabari ended up with free throws. Like I think he three on
Yeah.
one situation, and
Yeah,
Jalen
you should have threw a lob on that because
was right
yeah,
there
that's
on
how they
that
would have
line.
get fouled.
Yeah, he hit Jabari. Jabari got fouled. He went to the line, missed 2, and then I think they came right back down and made 2. So that was like a 4-point swing. And it's little things like that make you lose basketball games. Fortunately, it didn't end up hurting us in the end. But like when you got weapons on the other team, like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, like you don't want to leave like meat on the bone. You don't want to leave points on the floor. And then obviously, like you said, we're gonna get to the whole Jalen Green situation. That was crazy. Like the ejection with Bradley Beal and all of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was proud of the way that he responded. So when we do get to talking about that, then I'll chime in with some more of that. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, good win, a road win. That has to be stated as well. Like the Rockets are not a good road team, so
at
to go
all.
on the road and play a Phoenix Suns team with 3 dangerous all-star players and Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant, and to come out of that with a victory, I mean, hats off to them.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that their play-in chances are fading really fast, and I mean, at this point, it almost looks like it's impossible that they'll make the play-in. But at the same time, you still want to have some type. Even if you don't make the play, you want to have some type of momentum going into next season. Like you said, there's no coincidence the Rockets played well tonight because you had Fred VanVleet playing well, who had 24 points and 11 assists. He hadn't had one of those 11 assists, low turnover games, or double-digit assists, low turnover games in a long time. I think he was still kind of trying to get his bearings, trying to get back to where he was after dealing with the injury and not playing for like a couple of weeks or a week and a half. So I think he's finally slowly getting back to where he was. I would say maybe a month ago, a month and a half ago. And also you could tell he was also wearing down as well. So now if they have Ammen, who's actually playing some normal minutes now, and Fred doesn't have to play 40 minutes a game like he was early in the season, you can tell that he definitely seems like he's back to where he was earlier in the season.
That's who
Like
I
you said, with
forgot to
Shane,
mention.
yeah,
I forgot to mention Amon. I know he only
yeah,
played 20 minutes, but he was knocking on the door of a 5-by-5 game. And as you know, you've been watching
yeah,
basketball a long time. Like that's not an easy statistic to pull off, right? To get,
yeah,
like five in 5 different categories. And he was kind of knocking on the door for that in 20 minutes. So like I think if he would have played maybe 30 minutes, he may have had an outside chance of like getting there because like
yeah.
he just affects the game in so many different ways, even when he's not scoring. And his defense tonight was like it was stellar as always. And then like the offensive rebounding, you know, I don't know, man. Like I'm a big fan of him. I'm hoping that like he can develop some kind of a floater in the lane or a midi or something because like if he adds you know any kind of ability to score away from layups, he's gonna be very special.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I always say about Amen, players like Amen, they don't necessarily have to score to affect the game, and that's why he's always still going to get 20 minutes or 25 minutes in a game, even when he's not scoring well. Because, like you said, he had 4 steals, he almost had 5 plus in 5 different categories, and that's something that not every player can do. Some players are just if they're not scoring, they're not really giving you anything else. But Amen is able to kind of give you rebound, and they had him on Kevin Durant like exclusively when he was in the game with Kevin Durant on the floor, and they weren't even giving him any help. He was playing Kevin Durant 1-on-1. Now you're not going to be able to stop Kevin Durant. I don't care who you are. So, but he was at least making it difficult for Kevin Durant to get those shots off. So you always going to have a player like Amen in your lineup. Like I say, even if he's not scoring, because he's going to be able to like rebound, play defense, and of course he can also get out on the fast break. And it's kind of funny talking about another rookie. It's almost like Jalen Green and Cam Whitmore has kind of changed places.
Yeah,
It's like now Jalen Green's playing really well and Cam Whitmore is struggling, which you kind of expect from a rookie anyway. But it's almost like they can't be playing well at the same time. It's kind of like that since Cam
it's
Whitmore has
weird.
gotten minutes. But like I said, you're going to expect that from a rookie, so I'm not really too worried about Cam Whitmore struggling. I mean, he's 19 years old. I mean, he had a hot streak. He's just going to get better. But like you said, Amen is Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we were saying with Cam Whitmore, but if Cam Whitmore not scoring, he's not really giving you anything else. But our man's going to always be out there. He's going to always give you affect the game in one way or another, whether it's scoring, defense, or rebound. And that's definitely valuable when you don't want to be giving Fred VanVleet 38, 40 minutes a game because you're going to be right back in the same situation where he's going to be wearing down.
Yeah, so like you were saying though, like Ammen is just to me, he's the type of player that I like you said, he's a Swiss Army knife type guy. Every
Yeah.
team needs him, and but he has so much potential to be more than just a utility. Like in baseball, you got like the utility guy that can kind of like do a little bit of everything, but he's not like
Yeah.
your main guy, your everyday guy. I think Ammen has enough talent and just like intangibles to be a star in this league. He's rough around the edges in a few areas, but like when Fred was out and he started, like he was a walking double double. Like he was
Yeah.
coming in every game and getting, and he was shooting over 50%. And so like I think I kind of saw what I needed to see during that stretch when he was scaled up, when the team was relying on him to do more. He was able to do it. Now his shooting was still bad, outside, of the paint or whatever, but like he was finishing at the rim. He was still playing great defense. He was still like getting a lot of rebounds and getting assists and stuff like that. And like you said, affecting the game in so many different areas. So like I think the sky's the limit with him, and I can't wait, for him to be with the Rockets for an off season and see what they can do as far as like, smoothing out some of those rough edges with him.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And both of them, I'm in a Cam, they still have a long career in front of them. So you can't expect them to go out and they're going to be playing 20, 30 straight games, above or elite basketball. I mean, that's not, we really can't expect that from most rookies outside of probably Victor Wembanyama and maybe a couple other like really, really special guys. But we've seen flashes of what they can do, and they're just going to get a lot better. And like you said, oh man, is to me, our man's already kind of ahead of schedule, and it's definitely going to help out him and Fred VanVleet in the long run. So of course, I want to move to the elephant in the room, a guy that's been talked about a lot all season long, especially the last several weeks, and that's Jalen Green. We talked about a little bit about him during the intro. Tonight, he had 34 points, he had 9 rebounds, he had 4 assists. And also, it wasn't just the fact that he had the 34 points, which is great. It's that he was doing a lot of little things. He was out there hustling. He was out there picking up players full court. He was out there doing like a lot of little things that you don't normally see from Jalen Green. And on top of that, like you mentioned a little bit before, got into it with Bradley Beal and he didn't back down. That's something you definitely want to see from any of your players on your team, especially your higher draft picks. You want to, because I mean, teams or players, it seemed like Phoenix was trying to kind of get the Rockets out of their comfort zone, trying to sort of like they did last game, try to get them rattled to the point where then they can try to make that comeback. But the Rockets didn't get rattled. Bradley Beal, like basically, like you can't do that anywhere. I mean, you can't even do that if you're playing with one of your homeboys out on the court, hit him upside the head with a basketball, and not
Yeah.
expect him to retaliate. So, I mean, the fact that Bradley Beal tried that, it's no surprise that he got thrown out of the game. But it didn't rattle Jalen at all. Jalen just went right out there, and he actually finished off the game. I know a lot of people last game, even though he had another 30-point game, they're like, well, he wasn't efficient from the field. He took this many shots to get there. And, part of that, I guess, is true, but it's also seemed like people just want to find reasons not to give Jalen Green credit. But tonight, over 50% shooting, another 30-point game. And we also were playing some good defense as well. So I don't know what else you could complain about tonight when it comes to Jalen Green. I'm sure Jalen Green haters will find something to complain about. But at least the last 2 games, especially tonight, I mean, it's really nothing you can complain about when it comes to Jalen Green.
Yeah, the thing I'm really like impressed with, and I had mentioned it, we were watching the game, live streaming the game or whatever, is that I want him to find this kind of drive, this kind of motivation every night.
Yeah.
Um, the greatest players in our league that play this position manufacture reasons to be pissed off at people, reasons to come
Yeah.
out and like play like every game like all those cliche things. I don't need to go through all the cliche things, but it's true. Like the, Michael Jordan, for example, and we know he's the GOAT or whatever, but he would literally you might not have even done anything that you felt like pissed him off. He would take the slightest. little thing, and he would use it against you. And I don't even think Jalen needs to look very far to find motivation. like,
No,
like
there's plenty
all he
floating
needs,
around and just in Houston by
there
itself.
is plenty motivation for this man out there. He don't need to like manufacture motivation. Go on Instagram, go on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like listen to talk radio. You know, it's all there. You know what I mean? Everything is there for him to like be like, you know what? I'm gonna prove these people wrong because we see flashes
yeah.
of this. We've seen it in the past. Last year when he had to go head to head with Devin Booker and him and Devin Booker got into it and he
Hmm.
turned up. You know, he played one of his better games last season because Devin Booker was talking trash to him. He played a really good game against Anthony Edwards because the night before that, when they played Minnesota, Anthony Edwards embarrassed him, and he came out the next game and dropped 40 something.
And the
The
Lakers, when Ime pointed out about when
this
Austin
kid,
Reeves
Austin
making the
Reeves,
making the Olympic squad, he pointed that out, and Jalen Green went
yeah,
out there and had a
he
great
pointed
game
that.
against him.
Trey Young and Dejounte Murray last year
Yeah,
when they was like, you know, they ironically it was another ball
popping
getting
them on the
like
head.
so like today, you know, he came out hot, you know, and he was already playing well before the whole like basketball, you know, off the head incident happened.
Yeah,
So props to him for that. But I'm just saying, like, I think he has enough motivation to where he should be able to channel that and then just come out and hoop and like prove the haters wrong, man. Like you have all the talent in the world. There's not a whole lot of guys in the NBA who can do what you do. He just can't do it consistently, and that is where the problem lies. Like if I feel like we wouldn't even be having Jalen Green conversations if he could knock down an open 3-pointer. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because like then his shooting percentages are fine. You're not really paying as much attention to some of the other flaws in his game, and he still has time to smooth those out. But like when he's missing layups and missing wide open threes, I think it kind of compounds itself. And you know, we already have people saying they don't think he's going to be here next year, and maybe he won't be, and that's fine. I just don't. I personally, I just see there's a lot there as long as he has his head on straight, and which we don't really know, but like you know, we're gonna have to trust you know that the front office makes the right decision in the offseason as far as like what to do with him. I don't want to give up on that dude and then he goes somewhere else and um, you know he has a breakout. Like so, if they feel like they can salvage, even if they feel like they can salvage his jump shot, like
yeah.
and I know Brad put a stat out like maybe a few days ago, and it showed progressively how his spot up 3-point shooting has dipped from his rookie season, and like this year it's like a 12 point something percent dip, you know, and that's pretty significant. And this is on wide open threes. So I don't know if it's because they've been tinkering with his shot, you know, or you know
I think
maybe
it's
he has tired
confidence
legs.
too.
Yeah, like who knows? So I'm feeling like you know you brought Ben Sullivan in to fix people's jump shots. You got a couple of candidates on the team. Jalen Green happens to be one of those people. And if he can shoot, I mean, I
A
think they
couple,
compete.
a couple of candidates.
A couple of yeah, I'm being generous. There's a few dudes on this team who can't really shoot. You know what I mean? And um, but like him, like I like the way he didn't back down. Bradley Beal,
Yeah.
like you said, you can't do that anywhere. He hit him on the head twice with the basketball, and you know that's pretty much a go for fighting. You know, you
Oh
can't
yeah.
just hit me on the head with this. Not the and one mixtape tour, hot sizzle. You know they do be out there announcing stuff. Oh baby,
Nah.
you can't bounce the ball off my head like that. And then we just continue to play basketball. So you know, he responded to that the way I feel like he should have, and he did it in a way where he didn't get himself also thrown out the game. And then he continued to hoop, and so good for him.
Yeah, and like I've been accused of, being sometimes being a little bit too lenient when it comes to Jalen Green, and I'll say this right up front: he has not been consistent enough this season. He's actually taken a step backwards for most of this season.
I agree.
And
I
I think
gave him a D. I gave him a D on
yeah,
our last
yeah.
podcast when
And
we did great.
and I think he would even admit that he hasn't been as consistent as he wants to be. But games like tonight show why you just don't trade him just because, like, some people think he's a bust and they want him off the team. They'll just trade him for anybody. This is
That's what
games
I.
like tonight show that, yeah,
Yeah,
if it's part of a bigger deal, then okay, I understand. There's probably not really any untouchables on this team. Let's just be perfectly honest about that. But tonight shows that he has the talent. It's about being consistent. It's about playing with confidence. It's about, just his overall game. And like you said, even if he's just hitting open threes, because he has plenty of open threes playing with Sengun, because as you mentioned earlier, teams are focusing their entire defense on stopping Alperen Sengun. And now we even see teams running a lot more zone against the Rockets because they know the Rockets struggle from the outside. So if Jalen Green can just hit consistently 36, 37% from three, which is basically league average, I mean, his points per game will go up. I think his confidence will go up. And it also will make it easier for him to get to the basket, which I'm not going to get too much into right now as far as the foul calls that he doesn't get because the whistle are kind of really inconsistent. Yes, I'm not going to get too far into that because we're about to wrap up the show, but at least he'll be able to get to the basket even more because teams will actually, respect his 3-point game. Because we see tonight when he's hitting the three, that opens up his entire game, and it makes it a lot easier for him to get to the basket. But it's really about consistency with him. Now it's about him coming out the next game, and he doesn't necessarily have to put up 30 points because he's not going to put up 30 points a game. No. But he has to go out and at least have an effective game. He can't go out there and go 3 for 18 from the field with 4 turnovers, and then MA sits him for the fourth quarter. He has to continue to be consistent and defensive effort.
He has to play the type of defense he played tonight. Like that, exactly. You're not going to shoot well every game. We know that.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why you can't be locked in defensively, why you can't go out there and put the effort on the court that you put out tonight on the defensive end, because he was out there, he was moving his feet. He got lost a few times, but everybody does. I think sometimes we get too, we single out a guy, that we don't like on the team, and we he's not playing defense. But when you really look at the bigger picture, a lot of the guys on the team, do get lost off ball at times. You can pretty much nitpick anybody on the team in that regard. But for the most part, the minutes he was on the floor, he wasn't a negative defensively. He was hustling. He was getting rebounds. He got some offensive rebounds. He was moving the ball. He wasn't being a ball stopper. He played a really good game today. I think this is probably, to me, especially since it was in a win and against a good team on the road, this is probably, to me, one of his best games of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's about consistency. We'll see next game the Rockets take on the San Antonio Spurs. Please leave down in the comments, what do you think of tonight's win? Do you think this is probably Jalen Green's best game of the season? Do you expect him to continue into the next game against San Antonio and kind of finish off the season strong? Definitely let us know down in the comments. Again, we appreciate the support. Make sure you click that like button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, before I finish up the show, I definitely want to say again, thank you, Vader, for jumping on with me late. It is after 11 o'clock tonight, but we definitely want to get this out after a really big win, one of the biggest road wins of the season for a team that struggles on the road. So we definitely want to get this show out. So I appreciate you jumping on tonight.
Yeah, thank you, man, for wanting to go ahead and do a show, because we haven't had a good win like this in a while. So it kind of felt good to make it last just a little bit longer. We don't know what's going to happen the next game. Hopefully, some of the things that they did tonight, they can build on those things, in the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely good to talk a road win for the Rockets. We haven't had too many of those. So we definitely want to talk about the 118-109 win for the Rockets over the Phoenix Suns. So make sure you check out the next episode of Rockets Fuel Podcast.